Hi, everyone. My name is Marguerite Green, and we're going to go ahead and get started here in a minute. We are doing this webinar in the middle of the day, so we are not worried about attendance as much as we are getting a good video recording so that we can share this with new food entrepreneurs as they enter the field and they make decisions about their business moving forward. As we all know, during COVID-19, we've been working from home. My workspace from home is very informal, so I hope that you won't mind that I have a little dog in the room who there's not really much space in this house for us to spread out. So hopefully that brings some of you joy. I am sorry if you're not a dog person. She'll stay asleep the whole time probably unless somebody walks by. Then we'll be in a whole nother situation and the barking will start. But we're going to cross that bridge when we get there. So I'm going to go ahead and start a screen share so that folks at home can see our presentation for the day. All right, so here we are on my home screen again as we, as we all adapt to working from home. There is this big thing, which is that we're doing Zoom meetings. You're going to see my whole desktop. My apologies as Facebook messages pop up and tweets pop up and all that stuff. Good thing I'm a pretty open book. So we tried to remove any identifying data that you all might see during this presentation. And thanks for bearing with a little bit of, a little bit of mess, a little bit of noise. So let's jump right in and present this webinar. All right, so today we are, as part of our Growing Local class series, we're talking about e-commerce platforms for farmers. And as COVID-19 has really changed the way that we've shared food and sold food, a lot of our farmers had to pivot when their markets closed. A lot of farmers have had the really wonderful ability to just pivot with their markets. So many markets have actually been able to create online spaces for their vendors to sell. The one limit to that is if you weren't already participating in a market. So there were plenty of farmers who were just starting their farm-based businesses when COVID-19 hit, and this is just such a terrible time to start a business, but the local food movement is booming, so we want to help people really get into that and make sure that this false start that a disaster has served to our country does not prevent you from starting your farm business, because in some ways this is a time where people are really clamoring for local food. We want to make sure that that is a wealth that we get to share among all new farmers. So this is an online training from Sprout NOLA, which is my organization, and it's in partnership with Recirculating Farms Coalition, another farming organization here in town. As I said, I'm Marguerite Green. I'm the executive director of Sprout NOLA, and I'm happy to be giving you this presentation today because I'm also a farmer, and I have for years sold online. I'm selling online right now through one of the platforms that we're going to talk about, and I've sold through others in the past. So I'm excited that there is actually a lot of meat to what we can show you and a lot of the back end, because we've been there, done that, and we do have opinions on what is best for different people. There's not one size fit all in this. And so I think it's really important to be able to see all of the different ways that you can use these online platforms to help your business grow. A little bit more about the class. It's a beginning farmer and rancher development program class. And so that means that we are putting on a series of classes that's funded by the USDA to help new and beginning farmers really get their feet under them and have more access and lower barriers to starting a farm. Especially here in New Orleans, we know that a lot of our entrepreneurs are on smaller scale pieces of land. We have a lot of Black-owned farms, people of color in general owning farms, and women owning farms. And the barriers to those folks starting successful farm businesses are often very different. So low barrier to entry markets and online marketplaces are important so that you're not putting the cart before the horse and paying a lot of money up front for a super functional platform that you don't really need. That can be the difference between a sustainable business long-term and quick failure. And what we want to make sure is that farming and selling food is accessible to everyone who wants to do it with a little bit of business planning. So if you want to reach out to me for any follow-ups or any general farming support, you can reach me at margie@sproutnola.org. It's right there on the screen. RFC, our partner in presenting this class, Recirculating Farms Coalition, does a lot of alternative agriculture. And so what they focus on is hydroponics, community farming, and all that kind of good technical stuff. I consider myself an old-fashioned farmer. So what Sprout supports is more in-ground agriculture, raised beds, a traditional model of growing and distributing food. So when we work together, we can really hit all of the spectrum of what farming is in 2020. And so it's a really amazing partnership that we get to sort of showcase all of the ways that a farmer can be in 2020 because there are just so many different options. We're working on learning the basics of e-commerce and helping with decision-making for selling food digitally. One of the things that we've found with farmers is that decision-making process isn't inherent. A lot of people start growing food or making food products out of passion and love. And so, there are things that some of us might think are obvious, like making correct decisions up front about your needs. But other folks, maybe that's not why they got into this. So if we can help demystify that decision-making process, it helps us all thrive. And we're also really here to try to help farmers transition during COVID-19. The deal is the ways that farming and selling food work have completely changed. And that has been a curveball for all of us, including technical assistants like Sprout or RFC. We're having to learn this too. And we know that you all don't have all of the time in the world, especially in the middle of the day, to try to figure out all of these complicated platforms. So whatever we can do to lower that barrier is really important to all of us as a community food system. We're going to jump right into the making decisions part of this presentation because, like I said, it's one of the most important things that a farmer can do in order to decide what platform they're going to lay out. So you need to decide, first of all, if selling online is even right for you. Some of our farms have found a lot of success in transitioning online, and others have found that it's really just not the best model for them. So consider whether you're tech savvy. And if you're not tech savvy, that's also okay, but you have to have a desire to learn these technological advancements in farming and selling online. And that desire is really going to be the big thing because there are going to be moments where you get frustrated and you're going to want to throw up your hands. And if you feel like you can get through that, then that's awesome. And this information is for you. If you feel like you just don't have the ability to do that, reach out to us and we'll try to help you figure out where you fit in best because local food is in high demand right now. And just because this isn't the right thing for you doesn't mean there's not ways to sell your food. There is still a good old-fashioned world of phones out there and sending emails. I mean, it's all still a little bit digital because we can't bring people physically together, but there are other options for how to sell your food. One of those options that's really amazing is rolling in with a farmer's market. So you'll see a platform in a little while called What's Good. It's the platform that the Crescent City Farmers Market has adapted to in light of COVID-19. And it's a really nice way for folks who are maybe not as good at maintaining their whole system themselves to be a vendor through a market. There are other adaptions that we can make through that. For instance, Sprout offers what we call the truck farm table so that small vendors can come and bring their product to Sprout on market days, and we actually list them online for those small vendors. Now there are income limits and we do give priority to BIPOC farmers as well as women farmers in selling those products, but we can work with you if technology is a limit to your ability to sell. And we're really excited that the Crescent City Farmers Market has moved some of their platform online because it does help with getting more farmers plugged in. So the first question you want to ask yourself when picking an online platform is, where are you going to have the pickup be? So I know that sounds really like basic or silly, but you have to think through these things up front. So have a pickup spot in mind or choose to do delivery or some hybrid of both. But this has to come hand in hand with the step of when are your pickups going to be, which we'll talk about next. Your space needs to be safe and sanitizable and accessible to you. You don't want to create or make a decision about a space that leaves you stressed out or unable to set up in a way that actually feels good to your business. So also you're going to need to have a weather plan and storage space on site for your products and your materials. The difference between having an on-site cooler for your products versus schlepping around tons of ice chests, tables, and tents is huge. It's hours off your day, and it's also hours off your life. These things can lead to a lot of stress that can, again, make the difference between a sustainable farm business and a less sustainable farm business. So here are some of the things that we've heard farmers say when selecting a site. And I want to give you these as sort of red flags. If you're feeling any of these things, stop and listen. So don't say, we'll figure it out. You want to figure it out right now. You don't want to make a commitment or a decision to something that doesn't work, because customers notice when things change a lot, and it's hard for them to be consistent if you as a farm business are not consistent. So we really encourage farm businesses of whatever size and wherever they are in their entire spectrum of running a business to show up and to give a really clear way for people to buy things from them and to stay consistent, because you could be tiny. You could be growing in one raised bed, but you can present yourself as if you are running a 50-acre farm, and you can grow to that size and people can have a consistent journey with you that whole way. If people don't know where or how or when to get your food and it changes all the time, you will lose customers. Don't say anywhere will work. A lot of the time when people are thinking about where they can start their pickup spot, they're thinking of just a parking lot that they conceive of as like empty or public. You will get kicked out of that parking lot. Most of the time, organizations that have parking lots with empty spaces are going to notice when you start setting up shop out there, and eventually they're going to have a conversation with you about it. So that's not to say a parking lot isn't a great place. It often is, but just know it's not a long-term solution, and you want to be having conversations with the folks whose property you're using, just so everything's on the up and up and you're protected as well as they're protected. Don't say, we'll just wear masks and gloves. You need to come up with a plan for social distancing and sanitation that fits the space and the setup that you are in. So one of the things that's been coming up a lot in the local food system is that it is not enough for farmers markets and local food to just be better than the free-for-all that we're sometimes seeing in grocery stores. We actually have to hold a high standard of public health. Local food is better, and it's better because you're getting your food from people who care about safety, and that's the safety of consumers, the safety of farmers, and it's the safety of their farm workers. So in order to hold yourself to that high standard, you just need to have a plan in place. And going back to the idea that your business should be scalable, you may be small right now, but success might look a lot bigger someday. If you ever get to a distribution point or a time when that you are selling to a big grocery store, you're going to have what's called a HACCP plan. And a HACCP plan is basically your risk mitigation plan. It shows the government how you would do recalls if your food made someone sick. It shows how you're going to prevent your food making someone sick. And so making a safety plan ahead of time for even selling directly to consumers is great practice for having a HACCP plan someday. And it takes a lot of the thinking out of, did I bring my sanitizer? Where are my gloves? I forgot to wear a mask. Or maybe someone shows up without a mask and you don't really have a way to communicate that with them. So if you think those things ahead of time and you know how you're going to respond if, say, a customer does, heaven forbid, break the social distancing protocol that you've laid out at your farm pickup, you have a calm and collected way to express to them that they need to maybe step 6 feet back or wear a mask when they're approaching your table. If you come from a reactive place because you didn't plan any of those missteps, sometimes your words might not match up with your intentions, or you might not be able to hold the line that you want to hold that makes you or your employees or family members feel safe. So in order to feel safe, comfortable, and supported, make a plan ahead of time. So here's that next decision step that I said really needs to go with your where. It's your when. What is the frequency of your pickup? What days do your customers want to come? And what days do you have staff capacity to allow your customers to come? Laying out a short window for people to come pick up your products is good because it goes quicker, and quicker means less time for you out there, less staff time paid out there, but it can mess up social distancing. So if you set a 1-hour window for people to come pick up their product and you have 100 people coming to pick up their product, that 6 feet distance is going to be a little bit harder. But if you go far too long, those windows can actually lead to more missed customers. If you tell customers they have 6 hours to come pick things up, then oftentimes they tell themselves, oh, I'll go get it before 5, and they forget to, which can lead to another problem we're going to talk about. But we found that a really ideal window is somewhere between 3 and 4 hours for folks to come. And having multiple pickup days, maybe 2, is nice because you can do those hours in the morning or afternoon and in the evening, because some people are back at work and some people are not, but you want to hit all your customers where they're at and make sure that you're creating an accessible product for them. In terms of harvesting or packing and having pickup days, you have to be able to give yourself time to recuperate, repack, and reharvest. So when are you going to receive your orders, and when is your next pickup day? Some people find great success with packing their days together and doing maybe, say, a Sunday, Monday pickup, because they're doing their harvest one time on, say, Friday or Saturday. But if you're doing your harvest 2 times a week, then you need to have 2 pickup times. I know it seems obvious, but you can just kind of randomly pick 2 days and then not think about what that means for your weekly schedule. So if you're harvesting on, say, Saturday and Tuesday, then you might want to have a pickup day on Sunday and Wednesday. But then you need to figure out when you're going to have a day off. Farmers are independent and hardworking, and so oftentimes we don't build time off into our schedules. And I think that as a community, we all need to be pushing each other to take some time and some space to recuperate, because that's yet another way a business isn't sustainable. If you have a business that gives you no rest and is always 7 days a week, you're gonna burn out. And that doesn't help any of us. You might look tough right now, but in the long term, we're gonna lose your local food in our system because you are going to be so tired in a year. So then you need to figure out that thing I mentioned a minute ago, which is, what is your reschedule a pickup protocol? It doesn't matter what you decide to do. It just matters that you decide. So some folks are okay from a customer service point of view of allowing a customer to reschedule a pickup if they just miss the window. Some people have no flexibility in this, and then there's a middle ground. Personally, I like to be aware of the reasons that a customer might have missed their pickup window and then make concessions based on that. So if a customer says, sorry, I just didn't come, I decided to go to brunch instead, and I harvested a bouquet for them and it's not gonna last until the next pickup window, then I might say, I'm sorry, you already paid for the bouquet and the labor was done. We're not gonna be able to refund you. But if someone says, I'm so sorry, I got into a fender bender, then I might say, you can come pick it up from my house, because that's kind and that's a community food system that I want to be in. What you need to remember is, looking at these berries here in this picture, let's say you have $1 profit margin on your berries. So each pint of berries costs $4, and it costs you $3 to make that pint of berries. You get $1 in profit off of that pint of berries. Now, if somebody says they're going to come pick it up on Sunday, and they don't come, and it's a perishable product, and the next time that they can come pick it up is the following Sunday, if you have to find a new home for this pint of berries that you have from this Sunday, maybe give it to a friend, maybe eat it yourself. Maybe you're sick of berries and you don't have time to find where 1 pint of berries goes, so you turn it back into soil by composting it. No shame in that. Then you're going to have to harvest the next pint of berries that Sunday. So there's a product that's lost in that. You've sacrificed 1 pint of berries, and now your profit margin on your next pint of berries is actually 50 cents because you lost that one before. And what happens in that is that you have the benefit of working with your customer and building a relationship with them, but you also lose money. And so you need to be weighing whether or not you want your customer service to be building long-term relationships with customers, or if you need to prioritize your profit margin. And both of those things are valid. Personally, I think that doing some level of kind education with your customers is the ideal middle ground, where you express to people, I'm so sorry, the product was harvested and we did a lot of labor to get it to market. we're going to be unable to accommodate another pickup because the product itself is now gone. You'll get questions about, can I come pick it up sometime midweek? And that's going to be a personal decision for you about whether or not you want to accommodate that for a customer. If it's an easy thing to do, if your product is on site and the place where it is somewhere that's accessible, sure, let somebody come pick it up. But if you have to set up a special pickup time and go somewhere to help somebody get that 1 pint of berries, that $1 profit margin pretty quickly becomes negative $15 or negative $20. So just having a plan that you can articulate to customers so that you're not acting reactive or not being able to point to what your policy is really helpful. I also think on that front, putting your policy on whatever your platform is really important. On the Sprout NOLA platform through the What's Good app, I know this is a lot of jargon, on our platform that we sell stuff through the Crescent City Farmers Market What's Good app, we explicitly lay out that we cannot reschedule for pickups because unfortunately we're selling for other farmers, and so the profit margin is gone. So then the other thing is, if you're doing delivery, I want to show you a really cool tech tool that we've been loving at Sprout NOLA. And you need to think through, as you do delivery, how are you keeping that food to temp? How are you keeping it safe for your customers? A lot of people are home right now, but a lot of people aren't, and it's hot outside. So if you drop fresh food on their porch, there's a possibility it'll be steaming hot by the time they get home. So do you want to text them? Do you have an order delivery window where they're maybe getting their food between 1 and 3 and they need to be home? All of it's valid. My recommendation would be having a window and then making sure that customers know what that window is and ringing the doorbell. But we have been loving this tool. It's called Routific. And what you can see here, these are all of our delivery dates. And what Routific helps us do is actually route the delivery route for all of our deliveries and break it up by driver. So we put all of the places, all of the people. So 27, you can see right here, 27 stops were made on April 24th, and 4 drivers drove that day. So all I do, and it's very simple to walk through this, all I do is I upload these stops. Ooh, that's some identifying data. Sorry about that. I upload these stops, and then the app itself actually breaks, let's see, those stops into even chunks between all of the drivers that I've uploaded. I'm uploading those using a CSV doc or a regular Excel document. And it's all very intuitive in this program. And then it tells my drivers where they're going. And the coolest part is that it actually sends them a text via this dispatch window. I can go ahead and send a text to these drivers that shows them stop by stop where they're going and adds the phone number of the person that they are going to that place to deliver to, so that they can send a text to the person when they show up and check it off the list. It's really phenomenal. You can see it actually divided all these stops pretty evenly. Susan got off with one less than everybody else, but look how far Susan had to go. So it makes sense, and this app has shaved hours off of our delivery time. So let's make sure we're here. All right, moving on. Now you've answered your where and your when, but you have to answer your biggest question, which is how. How gets at the root of what your platform is going to be. So you know what you want your commerce to look like because you know how people are going to interact with it based on where they're picking up and when they're picking up. And now you're equipped to pick out a platform to handle ordering and payment. There are a lot of considerations at this point. This is sort of the meat of the thing. So you're thinking about the price for the tool that you're buying versus the volume of sales. If you are going to be doing a lot of sales every week, then you need your e-commerce system to essentially take the place of multiple employees, which means it's going to cost a lot of money. If you're doing very few deliveries or orders, then you should consider using a simple or free method. I would say if you're doing 20 orders or less, there's something out there for you that's probably next to free or free. But if you're doing over 20, you want to start looking at things that help you collate your spreadsheets and plug them in with your accounting systems, because all of that movement of data is also still labor, and it's got to be paid for, whether it's your time that you're not explicitly paying yourself for, but still should be, compensated, or it's hired time. That money comes out somewhere. So you want to make the most informed decision you can. I think the biggest decision when choosing a platform is how your items are listed. So let's look at how you could possibly list those items. You could list your items by individual items in a cart. That's a pretty classic model of online shopping. Think about it when you're on, Target's website, right? All of these individual items are listed, and you've got Neosporin, and you've got a kiddie pool, and you've got a bathing suit. I guess I'm in the mood for summer. Sorry about that. And so you can say add to cart, and then those items that are added to the cart all show up in the cart, and they can be bought individually with one checkout. This can end up with small orders. So say you're a farm that's selling a veggie box, which we'll touch on, and hot sauce that can be added on. You're going to have a customer that might just want hot sauce. And if you're doing a pickup spot, that's fine to just have the one bottle of hot sauce. That's great. So excited that a customer bought that. But if you're doing a delivery, it might not make a lot of sense to deliver one bottle of hot sauce. So you need to think, if you have individual items in a cart and you're doing delivery, you're either going to need to have a delivery minimum or a high enough delivery fee that if the customer only gets that one bottle of hot sauce, you can pay for the labor of delivering it. The good part of a individual items layout is that there's more customer freedom. So there are a lot of I don't want to say conflicting opinions. These are all personal choices about how you want your business to interact with your customer. But some people want their customers to have a ton of freedom, and some people want their customers to, get some coaching on help on what they need to purchase, and for that purchase to really boost a business's sales. So you're valuing customer freedom and choice or consistency of sales. And again, personal choice. Either one is great. You just want to figure out what you like best. The next option, which is less customer choice and more consistency of sales, is a pre-picked bundle or box. So this is a sort of traditional CSA style. You get a box of food, there's different stuff in it. You might be challenged to learn how to cook something new this way. And really it helps a farm, especially a farm that didn't plan to do a CSA, be able to fill those boxes and get whatever's in the field out to customers. Some pitfalls of that might be that you didn't plant a huge diversity of stuff, so a box might not be well-rounded. Let me be honest, nobody wants a box of just eggplant. They want a pretty good, beautiful array. So you need to think about if what you have and you're selling is diverse enough that a box feels fun for a customer to get. Because if a customer gets a bad box, a box that they don't like, they might not order again because they might think that's what's going to be in it every time. Your profits are larger if you have a pre-decided box, because you can get whatever product you have out into the world and you can do a general markup on it. There is a possibility that lack of freedom and choice leads to fewer customers, but we do not have enough data to really know what customers go for. And what we kind of have to rely on is that different customers are different. You have customers that just want to buy local food and they're less interested in what farm it comes from. And then you have customers that are super loyal to a farm and the exact experience that they get. So think about who your customer base is and make a decision that's right for them, because that's really who's building your business with you. Then we have a customizable market style box. This is what's also called a market style CSA. And a CSA, just to quickly demystify, stands for community supported agriculture. It's the idea that people would be buying a box or a share, which is a series of boxes, from a farm and paying for them up front. And when you pay for them up front, you're helping a farm make investments in infrastructure and labor throughout the year. If you do a pre-picked bundle or box, it's less of that model because people aren't paying for it up front. They're buying it one-off. But if you do a customizable market style CSA where people are subscribed, then they're helping you by paying a chunk up front. The highest level of technology is involved in this method. it's a long-term platform choice. So it's going to take a lot of uploading. It's going to take, you know, a lot of front end work, and it's going to be more expensive. So this decision should be made with a lot of care, because you're going to also want a crop plan for the rest of your farm's, you know, existence with this market style CSA to fit that box. You're going to want to plant your fields so that if you are selling 45 boxes a week, you have 45 units of different things. And it's nice because it's kind of plug and play. You can say, we like growing these 10 things, and for the rest of the season, you'll get these 10 things in a box, and we know exactly how many units we have to produce. Yeah, so this is best if it's planned a season ahead, because if you just planted out a field with only 3 things, because that worked for you at market, and now there's not a market for you to go to, a 3-item box is not going to be customizable or fun for your customer. You can do a hybrid of these. One of the things that I like the best is doing a hybrid of a pre-picked bundle or box with individual items that you can add to a cart. And that way, as you're harvesting things throughout the year, throughout your season, if you end up with every box that's pre-bought has tomatoes in it, and you still have 60 pounds of tomatoes, you can go ahead and put 60 pounds of tomatoes up for addition, and anyone who wants more tomatoes can add more tomatoes onto their box. Or you have the ability and the freedom to make, say, tomato sauce or salsa with those tomatoes, and then add that to your platform as an add-on, so someone can get their box that week and they can throw in some salsa. Those value-added products that your farm can make, they have a good profit margin for turning food that maybe wouldn't have gone anywhere into a product that can be sold, if you like make sure you're costing them out and making good decisions. So if you throw them into a box, then they are less profitable to you because they're sort of absorbed into the cost of a box. It's a lot more profitable to say you can add on a $7 jar of hot sauce, because it can look pretty small if you put it into a box, but outside it's this extra treat that's worth $7. So continuing this question of how, next, how is that payment received? Online payment in advance is absolutely the very best thing to do. The fees are one of the biggest downsides of these things. And the reason that I think it's best is because your product is already paid for. Thinking back to that question of what happens if someone doesn't show up. If the product is already paid for, there's a conversation to be had rather than a lost item, you know, that no one's ever picking up. One of the saving graces of us being able to sell other people's food for them is that, let's say there's one bunch of collards left over that someone didn't come pick up. I don't want to pass that on to the farmer and say, sorry, your food disappeared into the ether and you're not getting paid for it, and I can't drive an hour and a half to bring you back one bunch of collards, and I'm not paying out of pocket for it, by saying, well, I don't want to pass that cost on to the farmer because it's not their fault. So if something's prepaid, there's actually a conversation to be had about where that food goes, because it's already been compensated for. But again, every platform that accepts money is going to take fees. In-person payment is less reliable. If you ask people to pay when they come and you pack a whole box for them, they might not come. And when physical cash is exchanged, that is a vector for COVID-19, for the coronavirus. And so we do try to steer people away from exchanging physical money right now. There's a third option that I've seen a couple people do, and I've tried to do myself, so that's why I have opinions on it, which is having an order form that people can fill out about what they want, and then having a separate Venmo you direct them to, or PayPal, or whatever sort of functionality, where you say, tell me what you want, I'll pack it, and you pay for it on Venmo or PayPal. It's a great way to do digital payment and get around fees, but the huge downside of it is that you end up having to correlate who bought something with who paid for something, and it can get super confusing, especially because sometimes the name that somebody uses on an order form is different from the name that they use on Venmo. And it's really hard to track your inventory that way, because maybe somebody wants to wait to pay for their item until that morning. And so at that point, do you consider that item sold or not sold? It gets cloudy. I ask people not to do that anymore. It's a big logistical nightmare. So then also, if you're going to be paying taxes, which you don't need to do on raw agricultural goods, but you do need to do on prepared food items, then you are going to want to use an online platform because it helps you like keep track of those taxes, and it gives you a number for what of those are taxes. Thinking about payment exception in person, like Square, that's a really nice way to figure out your taxes as well, because you can plug in your sales tax, your state, and your federal, and it'll just give you a clean number that you need to report to the IRS and the Louisiana Department of Revenue in order to be above board on your taxes. But remember, that's different for raw agricultural goods, which makes some things easier. But if you're doing anything other than that, you need to be collecting and paying those taxes. And then if you're doing delivery, is there a service fee or delivery fee option? It is harder to ask someone to add $5 to their order in front of you. It's harder to say, I need you to give me $5 more. It's a lot easier to have a computer program say, and now we've added a $5 delivery fee. So I like to pass that off to the robots and get them to tell my customers that they need to pay a delivery fee, because it makes it non-negotiable and non-personal, and it's just a fact of how our food is delivered. Okay, so now you know your needs. Let's look at the platforms, the actual platforms now. So Squarespace is our first one that is simple and non-farm specific. When I say non-farm specific, I mean that these are platforms that can be used for any kind of e-commerce, and I think they're a nice place to start because your farm business could grow and expand to be something else, and because maybe you don't need the functionality of a farm-specific platform. So we'll start with Squarespace. If your website is already Squarespace, which many people's are, and your needs are simple, you should go for it. I'm going to give you guys a quick example, which is the back end of my Squarespace website and my selling platform. So this is my business, Flat River Flowers. As I mentioned, I'm currently the director of a nonprofit, so it's not a super active business at this moment, but it was nice to have a real back end website to be able to show y'all. So if you have a Squarespace already, which is who we're talking about, you'll know that all of these pages, you've got your top navigation here, which links to all of these, your FAQs, your get a quote, you can see it correlates right here, portfolio, but then you have your not linked pages. And so your not linked pages are going to be, they're pages that don't have to show up in this top navigation, so you can link people directly to them. I will say, when I used to do this weekly CSA, I would move my bi-weekly page up here. See, bi-weekly. But when I don't want to do bi-weekly anymore, that's goofy. When I don't want to do, getting out of control, bi-weekly anymore, I can move it down here to non-linked. And that means unless somebody already had that link, they cannot buy a product from me. So it essentially disables the website. You can see these were my flower CSAs. Again, that's community supported agriculture. And these are probably from about 4 years ago. So this is not an active way that I sell anymore. You can see that from my prices. They're $20 a bouquet for delivery. So I would encourage you to charge more money than that. But so here we've got bi-weekly and we're on my page. And what you can see is that I have 3 products. And I try to be clear in the way that I'm laying this out to someone. So this is my spring flower share. There are 3 options for it. They're all 4 weeks long. And this is March 12th through April 2nd, April 9th, which is the following week from April 2nd to April 30th, May 7th, that's the following week, to May 28th. So let's click on a product. I like Squarespace because it's super simple. What you're going to do to get a page like this is do plus products. And then you've got a whole new product page. I'm going to delete this page because we don't actually need it. Back to the real one. So I've got my products. Let's say you can see all my products over here. Let's click on this first one. And we are going to edit this product. So I've got my pricing and variance. That variance means Maybe I would have dark color bouquet and a light colored bouquet. You might want to have an extra kind of bouquet. So I could say, yeah, bright colors and dark colors. I don't have weight on flowers, but here's something really essential. I have stock. So I could say unlimited if this was something that I had a million of, or I can set my weekly ability to have 5 of these left in stock from that season so that I'm not oversold. And that's really helpful. You definitely want to have a platform that allows you to limit the amount of products that you're selling so that you don't end up disappointing customers. You've got your item, all of your pictures. These are all of our flower share pictures. It's nice to be able to show lots of them because with a farm product, there's going to be variability, right? And then we have market bouquets of flowers wrapped in paper, ready for you to take home. And you can see I tried to be really clear with how we're doing pickup. That goes back to that like where and when. Pickups are Monday between 4 and 7 at the Refresh Farmers Market on the corner of Broad and Bienville. Now, this is not enough, though. You cannot just tell people that in the product description because they're going to place that order and then they're going to immediately send you an email that says, where am I coming to get this? And if you have that level of communication, you're losing money every time that you send an email. And that's just unfortunate, but it's true. So I do have, please get in touch with any additional questions. You want to give them a way to communicate with you. But what you're also going to need to do, oh, it was 2 years ago. What you're also going to need to do is make sure that a follow-up email is sent. So you can go into your purchases, let's discard our changes. And what you're going to do is go into, your commerce, and I'm not going to click on it because there's identifying information, but you'll see your customers right here, and you're going to take their emails and you're going to send them one form email that just says, hi, thanks for buying the flowers this week. As a reminder, you're picking up between 4 and 7 at 300 North Broad. And so that's really essential for your customers to know where and when they're going, because the feeling of not knowing what you're doing and how you're buying something is a terrible feeling. So now that's Squarespace. It's very cheap. It starts at $12 a month. I cannot imagine needing much more functionality than the $12 a month model. We've got Shopify. If you expect to move online for the long term and sell multiple items, Shopify is more complex, more customizable, and more flexible. It's a better but more expensive platform. So you want to pick it if your store is not just utilitarian, if you're in it for the long haul. And the other thing I like Shopify for is that it gives you the ability for your farm business to grow. So we're going to look at Florette for a second, but what I want you guys to know is that Florette, this farm business, started as a flower business. And because she had such a good online presence, she eventually started selling seeds and books and bulbs and swag and all this kind of stuff. So her having a Shopify store really helped with being able to, kind of expand what she is selling. So what we have here is she's got her seed collections. She's got, and they come in these beautiful little tins. Oh my gosh, I kind of want some of these. See, that's what a good store does, is it makes you want something. She's got paper goods. All of this is a much more complex storefront, as you can see. And down here in the bottom, there's something important. Site by Lydia. So you can see Shopify has this actual help and branding section that you can hire individuals to make your e-commerce sites. This is really complex and expensive, and it is an awesome option if it's what you want to do, if it's what you need to do. But do not purchase this option if you're just trying to sell a couple vegetable boxes online. So we've looked at the ones that are not farm specific. Now let's look at farm specific CSA and online platforms. We've got this awesome guide that we're going to share. It comes from the National Young Farmers Coalition. And it lays out all of the farm specific direct sales software platforms. It's a big document, but what I love about it is it takes the functionality that you might want over here in this column, and it actually correlates it to individual platforms. So there's a lot of platforms out there. What we're going to touch on is the platforms that that we have actually used and that are most effective for people here in the city. So heading back here, we'll start with what's good. So what's good, I have this linked back to the back end of my own What's Good stand so that there's no, public data, but what you can see is these are the things that we sell on a regular basis with What's Good. It's nice because we can keep our inventory under control here. We can see all of our orders here. Obviously, I'm going to avoid that. And then we can see our storefront. Shout out to Crescent City Farmers Market. This is their Sunday drive-through that we're so lucky to be a part of. We really love it. And it has been an awesome way to help farmers sell online. But What's Good is best for farmers markets. So the reason that I'm bringing it into this presentation is to, again, encourage people to find a market that's actually working for them. And so this does take a 5% fee, and it is best for markets. It is not best for individual producers, but we're not recommending that new farmers markets start at the moment because everything's so up in the air. We're recommending that you find a market that you fit in with, and Sprout is super happy to help you figure that out. The next one is Farm Generations. It's also known as Grown By. This is an offshoot of the National Young Farmers Coalition. It's in beta testing, and it's offering free accounts with affordable fees. So the reason that I want to show this one is because if you're not sure about this and you're trying to figure out if it's right for you, they have this wait list where you can be, with a limited number of trials here, you can sign up and use their functional platform, but it is going to be slow going. So this is not the option to use for you if you need to get online fast. It's going to be better to do one of those Squarespaces or those Shopifys if you need to get online fast, because you can do that tonight at your computer by kind of moving around in it. And if you do Grown By, you're going to have to wait on them to ping you and say, you get to have one of our trials. And so then we have the Cadillac of online CSA platforms, and this is Harvey. Harvey has higher fees, but awesome functionality, and it's well loved by farmers who use it. And they especially are good for farmers who want to have that market choice functionality. If you do not want that, if you just want to sell boxes, again, go to that Squarespace or that Shopify, depending on, I would say it's, the simplest thing that you want is going to be Squarespace. The next step up, if you want some functionality that's still choice, like cart choice, is going to be Shopify. And then your Cadillac, where you have to have a desire to do market choice CSA, is Harvey. So the cool thing about Harvey is, though it is expensive, they are going to set you up with a consultant to help you get your store in order. And I really like that function of them. You can see these are all the farmers that use Harvey. We've got our very own lovely River Queen greens. Oh, and it looks like we've actually gotten some more since the last time. Oh, cool. Okay, so some more people are on Harvey since the last time I looked. We've got River Queen greens over here, but we also have our dear friends Pistil and Stamen and Poke Loa. That's kind of interesting. I'll have to look at that later. When you're looking at Harvey, here's the process. So Harvey is going to customize these boxes for you, and that's a really cool part of it. I'm going to say Farm with Harvey over here so that you can see this. So they've got a proposal request, and that's going to give you what the fees are to work with Harvey. It's going to have them call you and kind of talk through what you need and build a proposal for you. But this is what I want you guys to see. So the farmer sets the harvest estimate 3 to 4 days before delivery. You're going to have to know kind of a rough estimate about what's coming out of your field. And then Harvey is going to match harvest against the member preferences to create the perfect share. I actually signed up for River Queen Greens Harvey because I wanted to see what the inside looked like and because they have amazing food. And it's really cool. It actually asks you, do you like microgreens? Do you like collards? Do you like kale? And you can tell it what you like. And then it also gives you the option to switch things out. So here it matches my preferences. And then I was able to come in a few days before my CSA was ready and actually switch out items. And then it sends this full pick list to my farmers. So my farmers, Annie and Cheryl over there at River Queen Greens, they get this thing that says, Margie doesn't want this week, she does want this. And that pick list actually prints out labels for those farmers, and they can, deliver those shares to market or to their pickup site or whatever. Harvey is awesome. I would say that Harvey is going to be a choice for someone who is further along in their farming. And that probably means someone who maybe wants to plan ahead a couple years. So Harvey's a big investment, but it is something to aspire to if a CSA is your vibe. And then another phenomenal resource that came out of NYFC that I think is really important in this whole thing, and we're using Harvey as an example here, is the questions that you should ask a platform that requires that you sign a contract. So like I said, this is the example that we're getting through Harvey. How long has your platform been around? It's a big question. People can start tech companies overnight. How many farmers does it serve? And then here's the biggest question: what will it cost my farm to use your platform? So there is an example of all of these platforms laid out, being asked these questions and answering them. So as you move forward in your decision-making process, please go to this guide, which we're going to send out. And you can find all of these questions right here, and they correlate directly to the platforms. So let's say you have decided that even though we're not touching on barn to door right now, which you can see, okay, let's do 1,000 eco farms. You can see it's got pretty limited functionality. It only checks 2 of these columns. You could go see how 1,000 eco farms answers all of those same questions to help you make an informed decision. All right, let's talk spreadsheets. This is the simplest method. And I want to go ahead and shout out all of the folks who want to use old-fashioned paper and pen methods. I love them, but they're not always the best. So I want to encourage everyone who decides to use a spreadsheet in this endeavor to make it a living document. If you print a spreadsheet, it changes, you don't update it, it rains on you, you lose it. As much as you can have your spreadsheet be actually hosted in the cloud so that when you change it, it changes on every platform, it's going to prevent errors along the way. There also, you can see editable history, which is huge. And so you can see if something changed accidentally about a document and you can make it go back. I'm going to show you all, I've blacked out my names and emails and addresses. This is an order spreadsheet that I currently work off of. So you can see it's pretty complex. What we've got here is our dates and our time that the order was made. So it was submitted through a Google form. And then the question up here is, thank you so much, we're really glad. Basically, it gets to what is your name. So I've got all of my names right here. I've blacked them out. All of their corresponding emails, the addresses where the delivery is happening, and then what they are requesting, what they're ordering. Then you'll see we also have a scheduled pickup, so we know when they're coming to pick stuff up, and we know when they need delivery. You can see the scheduling pickup has a different option that says I'm immunocompromised, and it allows them to receive a delivery if they're immunocompromised. And then we have, did we send them an email? So this is a really nice way to keep track of our communication with our customers, or in this case, the folks who are requesting plants from us, because we know I log in and I say, I didn't send them an email, but Gabe, who works with me, he sent them an email. So that's really great. And then we see a pickup date right here. So once a pickup date is filled in, they're actually going to get moved to a whole new sheet. You can see down here we've got tabs so that things get separated out, but the information never disappears. So going back to that, it's that you want to keep all the information in one place. The really cool thing about having an online spreadsheet is that you don't have to make that information disappear once it's old. You can just hide it. So let's say, why do I keep doing that today? Sorry about that. So let's say I want to hide all of these. I can just come over here and say, hide row 2 through 10. So they're not gone. They just are hidden over here, and I can unhide them whenever I want. And in that case, I know, and you can see someone else is even in here. Oh, that's me in another window. But this way our team can work on it, but it's just still a spreadsheet. It's not some complicated online interface. And then make a system and stick to it. We don't want you guys to flip-flop around, because that's where a name gets lost and a delivery doesn't get made. And you know, sometimes you can accidentally lose the wrong name and you can get a customer that's pretty upset. Years ago, I had a system where I had to print my pack list based on a program that no longer exists, and it didn't tell me how many pages I needed to print, and one name on one page didn't print. And it was the one customer that got really mad that their order didn't deliver, and they did not want to hear that there was just a complication with a printing system. So pick your system, stick to it, know exactly how it works so that you can see your red flag if something's missing, and check your numbers. Yeah, so I hope that this overview of the, excuse me. I hope this overview of online ordering platforms has been helpful. It's been really great to get to talk through these and to realize over the years how many of them we've had the pleasure of using. And we do have more complex opinions on all of them. So if you want to reach out individually to get some consultation on what you need, or if you want to talk to farmers who are currently using any of these systems, please feel free to do that. We'd love to help you on your journey, because really at the end of the day, we need more local food and more local farmers, and we're really glad that you're a part of that. Please reach out to Margie at sproutnola.com. Sorry, sproutnola.org with any further questions, and we're happy that you're considering farming. All right. Oh, we got one chat. Y'all have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.